All right, it is April 8th, 2024. I busted my tripod about a week ago, so I got to get a new one. So for now, I'll be holding the camera, and if it's shaky, I apologize. But as you can see right here, I brought some pepper plants. We just commonly refer to these as Hawaiian chili peppers, but they're actually Tabasco peppers. And I had grown these from seed, I think a couple of months ago. Might have been somewhere in January. I don't really recall because of so much. There's just so much going on. I can't keep track of everything. But here's the area where I had grown the papayas, and the papayas were actually doing great, as you can see right here. But the pigs, the feral hogs out here, I don't know. I think they just hate me. But they went on ahead and bit it. You can see the top half right there. They bit this one. They bit that one right there. You can see right here, the bottom portion, and here's the top portion of it. And this one's doing good. The one in the front there was the only one that was struggling. So if you don't recall, we put these in the ground a couple of weeks ago. And even though only a portion of them are in the ground, there is still growth. So thankfully, the papaya trees established themselves, kind of like this one. It'd be nice. They'd all look like this by now if they had established themselves the way I wanted to. But they didn't. So this one also has some growth, even though only half of it is still standing. There's growth right there on the tree. So we still got papayas. The papayas are doing good regardless of everything that's happening. I think I only lost one. Here's another one that the pigs got to, but there's still growth, as you can see right there. And I think the only one I lost was somewhere here. Yeah, it's right here, right there. And that's because, well, we may still have that one. He may still pop up a little branch off. Who knows? But I got to be careful. Maybe put a stick there to kind of watch over the area so I don't come by with the trimmer, because that's what happened with that last one I just showed you. I was weed eating out here, and I just went right through it with a weed eater. I think I had planted one here. I don't know where it is. It may have just died, but no big deal. That still leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 papaya trees, and that's well more than enough than we need to continue to germinate and propagate the plant. And we'll propagate and then germinate seeds to put in the ground. Here I got marked are some lemongrass. So the lemongrass is right here. I got them marked off with these little palm stems. Some more lemongrass right there. So in time, these are going to fill out. They'll grow perfectly fine. This guy doesn't look so good, but maybe we'll just give him some water. See how he does then. So the plan is to put the pepper plants down here in between the papayas. Well, just kind of like in throughout this area, because I want it nice and dense with as much stuff as I can get in there, and utilize this little area to its full potential, because this little area would be a good template for what the big area here going all the way up. This little area will be a good template for that. So depending on what I can grow on this little slip right here, we'll definitely see and scale up over on this side. So like I said, I forgot the tripod and it's all busted up. I probably tossed it off somewhere at home. But until I get a new tripod, I'm just going to have to get these things done. Then we'll pick back up after I've done putting them in the ground. All right, so I'm up a little higher than I was before. Down there, where the truck is where the pepper plants are. And I had a plant here. This is called a Fijian longan, Polynesian longan, I guess you can call it. It's got many other names. We call it tava. And this is a relative of the lychee and the longan, of course. But these get really big. So I'm going to put this guy here in the ground. He was too small when I first got him, so I want to let him kind of establish himself and get a little bigger before I actually put him into the ground. Still, right now, I would think he's still too small to put in the ground, but because I've seen some signs of growth, I want to put him to the ground because we've got some days of rain coming, and that would help establish this little guy. I just need to mark him with some sticks out here. Hopefully the hogs don't get to it. I know folks out there would probably suggest putting fencing or, you know, some type of wall around it, but I just don't have the money for that right now. So I'm just gonna have to take my chances. Hopefully this little guy gets on really well. I don't think there should be too many problems because he's been out here the whole time and the pigs haven't touched it yet. Hopefully this guy will do perfectly fine, because the pigs, there are some cassava plants out here that were just growing on their own, kind of like this one you see right there. That plant right there with the marijuana looking leaves, that is a cassava plant, and those are roots, edible roots on these plants. And you can see here the hogs have just decimated the ones that I've spared so that I can get some cuttings to propagate these plants. So I don't know what variety this is. It really doesn't matter. I don't have too much of a preference when it comes to cassava, but it's just nice to collect a whole bunch of different varieties. And I didn't know what variety this was, considering it looked like it was growing from seed. Because remember, all of this was basically canopied by the big trees and no sunlight was hitting the ground. So everything here that you can see around us that is, you know, grass and weeds was all under the canopy and just forest, kind of like what you see all around here. And this is all that stuff. But back to the cassava, there's still the bottoms, maybe half of this stem right here is enough to just put back into the ground and see if something happens. There are some more cassava around that are growing, but I'd like to save as much as I can, not exactly for what is putting off right now at the bottom of the cassava plants, but for the stems so that I can propagate them in the future. Hopefully we can get some cassava off of them if I manage to get a hold of these hogs. But for now, we're just gonna have to hope these hogs don't tear everything away before we can do something with them, because you can see here, they're even attacking the small banana shoots. And that is really annoying, considering I'm trying to propagate quite a bit of bananas here on the farm. So realistically, I would like to have, 1,000 banana trees here on the property. And I'd prefer for all of them to grow in a straight line along the edges here and not necessarily all over the place. I want the inside to kind of stay pretty open. And if anything, I'm going to have fruit trees, here and there all through the inside, but the borders will be all bananas. I may have 2 lines in the future, but for now, we're just going to run a single line all the way up towards the mountain. But this week, if you can't already tell, is going to be a lot of planting, especially because we've got rain coming. So hopefully within the next 2 days, so I staggered the days between this farm, the new farm, and the old farm. So we're here at this farm, the new farm today. We'll be at the old farm tomorrow, and then we'll be back here at the new farm on Wednesday. And hopefully by Wednesday, I'll have everything in the ground that I planned. And that includes bananas, pepper plants, and maybe some fruit trees, kind of like this guy here. But enough of that. I also got to do some excavator clearing to set a hog trap down. And hopefully I have enough time after all of this to sit down with the rifle and wait for some hogs. But let's get to growing. All right, so here's a problem we need to maintain control of, and that is disease on the bananas. I'm not exactly sure what this one is. I need to do more research on the different types of diseases. I do know there are fungal ones, and there's definitely bunchy top here in Hawaii, and they wreak havoc on these banana trees. So I've got to get rid of this one. This one is doing just fine. I had actually replaced this one a while back, maybe a couple of weeks ago, a little over a month ago. I had put this new one in and it looks great. This one as well is looking good. If it wasn't for a lot of these trees, which I really can't help, I don't have the proper chainsaw to take them down, and I use the machine for the most part to kind of break away a lot of this stuff, and you can see it here along the ledge. And like I said before, this ledge drops, and you can kind of see down there how far that drop is. So this ledge kind of serves as a barrier as well to protect not only me but my kids, so that no one goes flying over the ledge down into the gully there. But there's Bunchy Top right there. You can see it, and this one here as well doesn't seem to be doing too good. So these three mats are going to get pulled out, starting with this guy here, and I'm going to replace them with some better looking banana plants. So hopefully we could get this this little line of bananas to look really good. All right, so right over here on the opposite side, you can see that I've got a cluster of small banana plants here, and that's because I had planted small corms all at the bottom specifically for this purpose. First, because we were lacking the space to continue to grow banana plants all the way up that way. I had to continue clearing. I put them all in the ground so the corms don't waste, and as you can see here, the corms are all taking off. So I got to pull off 3 of these, probably the 3 bigger ones, and well, maybe 2 of the bigger ones and 1 smaller one, and take them over there and replace the ones I pulled out. All right, it's April 9th, the next day, and I wanted to do some cutting. I'm out here at the old farm, and I wanted to do some cutting, but I got out here pretty late. So I also had to harvest some bananas today for an order that needs to go out tomorrow. So that's gonna have to take priority right now because we're out of time. So we'll go ahead and get these bananas together and we'll pick back up. All right, about a quarter of the way through with picking bananas, and I remembered a couple of days ago that some of these breadfruit have to be picked here, so we're gonna go ahead and pick some of these breadfruit, and we're gonna let the sap here run off of it. So while we leave the breadfruits and the sap for the breadfruit to run off, we'll go ahead and go collect the rest of the bananas. Small guy, but good guy.
Small little guy. Put it in there.
Let the sap drain. All right, sorry about the wind. It's getting late and I can't do anything anymore that I plan to do other than harvest these bananas and some of these breadfruit here. But the goal was to get these Namo bananas and to get some bata, but we wound up getting more bata than we expected because it's just time for them to get harvested. So we got to get these guys sold tomorrow. So we'll go ahead and take care of this for the day. Come back tomorrow over at the new farm to continue to do some planting. All right, so it's April 10th, 2024, and we're back out here at the new farm. As you can see here, we've got a variety of plants that need to go in the ground. So we got this banana tree, which is another variety. I really don't know exactly what variety it is, but we'll allow it to grow and then we'll go ahead and see what it is. This is a cacao tree, the one that's standing tall. And the one down here that's laying down is a star fruit. These two, we'll describe it as we go, as we plant each plant. But like I said, there's a variety of plants out here that need to go into the ground. I'm gonna cheat today and go grab the smaller excavator and get these holes dug, because I got about 2 hours of sunlight. And that's not enough time for me to be messing around with the shovel. So also still have the pepper plants right there that still have to go in the ground. I don't think I'm gonna need the machine for that, but we'll see how much time I have at the end, because I still want to get some bananas planted. As you can see right there, the hole is still open here and here on this side, and I left it like that because those plants were diseased. I wanted to give the soil time to rest and any of the remnants of the disease to kind of dissipate, let other microorganisms attack them and whatnot, so that hopefully it'll be sterile enough by the time we place the new plants in there. So the new plants are going to go in today, but I'm going to go ahead and go down, grab the excavator, and we will pick right back up. All right, so sorry if the audio is kind of sorry in here, but I wanted to get the smaller excavator, but I don't have the key for it. So I'm here in the next size up. And instead of not getting things done, I've decided to get done what I can with this machine. So you can see right here, yesterday, I was working with the machine that's bigger than this one. And the road was as thin as from right here to the tree. So just enough where my vehicle, my truck can fit in with maybe about a foot to the left and a foot to the right, you know, so the width of maybe 6 or 7 feet, which wasn't wide enough. And I want more access, but not only do I want more access room, the bananas kind of line up coming down this way, and I wanted to plant the bananas following down all the way down this way. So you can see here, I cut through this small little hillside, and I think I'm going to do some more maintenance on that before I actually decide to leave it the way it is. But I do plan on planting the bananas all the way down this way, about 5 feet apart. The canopy up here is not going to help the fact that my bananas are going to need sun. So I'm going to have to clear a lot of that stuff out too. I may even have to break off this little V-shaped branch you see here with the machine, or I might just break down the tree altogether. So there are 3 trees right there. I think 2 of them are connected, and the one that I'm talking about breaking down is an individual standing tree, and I might just go ahead and push them on down this way just to clear that spot up. That is if the guys don't come out here and get it cut down before I wind up doing that. But you can see on this hillside, there's all these smaller trees that are going to be a problem eventually in the future if I allow them to continue to grow, because the bananas, as you watch, they're going to continue down the side down here. So this big tree is going to stay. It's what we call a koa tree. Very, very beautiful tree here in Hawaii. And we'll just let that one go. So with the exception of a few trees, the rest of them I'm going to clear with the machine. So I'm just going to go ahead and push them down towards the hillside for now. And then I'll come back in the future and cut them up into smaller pieces with the chainsaw and use them as firewood. But as for now, that's the plan. I may leave the machine up here for now while I run back down towards the truck, because those plants are still sitting in the back of my truck and they still need to be put in the ground. But also from this area here that I was clearing, I just pushed the dirt over. Well, I piled the dirt over on the right side, so that's gonna have to be leveled out. I'm gonna grade it, level it out, and hopefully we can make this side, because it's hard to tell right now, but this side kind of slopes downwards gradually, and I'd like to level it out just a little bit, not too much. Not expecting too much, but enough. So I wish I had my tripod so that I can record this process, but I don't, so I'm going to go ahead and do it, and we'll just pick up after. All right, so it got dark, and I didn't manage to put the trees in the ground, but I did manage to make all the holes for the trees to go in. Also, I managed to kind of clean up this area. You can see there, and the piles of dirt, I managed to level it out some. So enough to my satisfaction. And I'm still debating taking down these trees. I kind of like them there because if you're looking from all the way down at the bottom, these trees may serve as, you know, kind of like a screen to kind of keep this top area separated from the area behind me. And you can, you know, that really happens when you're standing down there at the bottom, down towards behind me. But as you come up past this, it really opens up again. So it kind of creates two different sections here on the farm, and I kind of like it like that. So, but like I said, I may take out this one right here on the furthest out of these three, the one to the right, just so there's a little bit more access right there. And this canopy doesn't really shade out the bananas that I plan on growing down here. All this stuff up here on this side is going to be cleared eventually. I'm going to come up on a small machine and maybe even use a chainsaw to take all those smaller trees down. The good thing is there aren't too many big trees over here on this side. The big trees tend to be more on this side. Further up though, there are not large trees, they're giant trees. So those are definitely going to have to be taken care of by the tree fellers. So when that happens, it happens. These trees right here, I can easily push these down with the larger excavator. As a matter of fact, you can probably even push it down with the excavator I'm in right now. But I actually kind of want to keep them because their root structures kind of keep this side stabilized. Because right on this side of it, if you look here to the left, on the back side of this log here, it kind of drops off into the riverbed back there. Although it is a dry riverbed, it's still a riverbed, and if heavy rains ever do come down in the future, which, you know, more than likely they will, this whole side right here doesn't deteriorate and just erode down that way. So maybe in the future I'm going to plant some vetiver all along the ledge on the riverbed so that that never happens. But I also want to keep these trees because I'd like to cut them maybe down right here. You know, I might scratch at it with the teeth here on the excavator. I don't know, that seems a bit risky, but if I can get the guys to cut it down, you know, just little by little, and then kind of leave it right here, the tree will still stay alive and it will bounce back with new growth like this. But every now and then I can, you know, just cut that new growth down, because instead of having to cut down, you know, giant branches all the way up there, I can just, the tree will only be this high and I can literally just reach up, grab those branches and break them off, and the tree will just bounce back all over again. And also I can use it, you know, to maybe create a hammock from this tree to that tree or something for the kids, you know. Although it does drop on this side, there's still a little bit of space behind it where, you know, I might even build a tree house from this tree to that tree, and it'll be kind of cool for the kids to just look over into the riverbed. Who knows? There's just a lot of plans for the future. You know, it's very open planning, and we work with the weather and work with the what we got, and work with the boys who are running their companies, and hopefully here within the next year, by the end of this year, we've done some significant work. Because as you can see here above, there's still a lot of big trees here that need to be taken down. And eventually this will all be open, and all the plants that we plant in here will take over and create that canopy. So kind of hoping to establish an agroforestry system here that implements not only fruit trees, you know, novel fruit trees, and just the native fruit trees, but also Hawaiian native plants, you know, to return those plants here to the environment, which encourage Hawaiian native wildlife, native Hawaiian wildlife to flourish out here. So really trying to establish a really, really, really good system out here, and always being considerate of the fact that each place needs its indigenous species, whether they be plants, animals, and especially the people. So we'll try to respect that and work towards the future with those things in mind. Other than that, we're gonna have to come back on Friday, because tomorrow we go over to the old farm and I got some stuff to do out there. But got the bananas delivered this morning, so mission accomplished on that. Got the holes at least dug out over here and the dirt graded. Those missions were accomplished as well. We'll continue to try and accomplish these missions little by little. But for now, that's it for today. All right, it is April 11th, 2024, and yesterday I wanted to get this done, but I didn't have time because it got dark. I finally wound up getting out here, and I got it done. So all the plants I want in the ground right now are in the ground, starting with these pepper plants. You can see right here, and they are planted incrementally down this way. And that is 10 pepper plants in all. So I've got 10 pepper plants planted. These two bananas right here were replaced. This one and that one. So these are all different varieties of bananas. And we'll see what they are in the future. But that's it for this side. On the opposite side here, you see I got the pepper plants right here. And that is, I got 1 here, 2, 3, and 4. Kind of take a closer look. I got to get some flags, those little construction marking flags, so that I can mark all these plants, which includes these breadfruit shoots coming off of the roots of these main trees here. I need to mark them all so that these breadfruit plants are eventually going to be transplanted. This is a Royal Poinciana here, but that's going to go all the way up at the top. So those pepper plants were propagated from pepper plants that I had gotten from seeds of a plant that was growing on the roadside. So those pepper plants are basically free. Of course, the potting mix and the plant pots that I planted them in weren't free, but the plants tend to be the most expensive when it comes to purchasing farm stock. This here is a cacao tree. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to make it. I took it out of the pot. And the roots, well, the roots didn't look too good. They sort of looked like they were rotting, as a matter of fact. But because the top still looked all right, I know other planters may totally just toss this plant, but I've decided to give it a chance. As you can see, there are 2 trunks on the tree. Whichever trunk seems to be doing better here in a couple of weeks will be the trunk that I let stay, and the other one I will cut off. But this cacao tree I've had for years, and it's been long overdue for transplantation. I've got some cacao plants from the same batch planted out over at the old farm, and they're much bigger than this. So severely stunted, but we'll give them a chance. This here is in Lang Lang, also severely stunted. So these plants are all just severely stunted because I've had them at home, and I've just never really managed to find a place. The old farm I knew was a temporary spot, so I didn't want to plant them there because I wouldn't be able to take them with me if I were to go. And ylang-ylang plants are kind of rare out here in even Hawaii. So I just managed to luck out and get this one over at City Mill. But in the future, hopefully this one takes off, or hopefully I find another one that's growing, the way it should. And I'll get that transplanted out, because this farm, is pretty much guaranteed for the next lifetime. This right here is also a severely stunted tree. This is the starfruit tree, and I've had this for years in a pot. And as you can see, that's not years of growth. That's probably maybe even less than a year of growth right there, and it's just stayed like that. The roots on this didn't look good as well, but just like I do with all the other plants, I'm just going to give them a chance. If they do well, they do well. This here is a caracara I got planted long ago. Actually, these were planted over at the old farm a couple months ago, and I brought them over here to transplant them. So I dug them out of the ground and brought them out over here, and they haven't grown much. I have a feeling it has to do with the canopy up here. These citrus plants want lots of sunlight, but we don't get much. We just get, the sun comes over from that side, and it goes over this way, and it just, you know, basically once it's behind that mountain, no sun. Especially if it's overcast like this, even less sun. So you can see right here is where we get full sunlight. Other than that, it's all just shaded. So that's why in the future I plan to push these. These are really big trees, and you know, they're kind of dangerous to push down with an excavator, because you can see the branches branching out in all directions. You can't tell which way it's going to go unless you really know what you're doing. So the boys plan on getting some guys out here to come drop these trees, but we have yet to do so. There are lots of papayas out here. Here's a breadfruit tree. I had to cut it down because the hogs had just scraped away at the trunk, and the tree basically fell over on its own. So that's a new shoot, and I gotta make sure I see that. So that's the reason for getting the little pink flags. These papayas here are just growing wild. They popped up all over the place, and that's because the birds, they go and eat papayas elsewhere and all kinds of fruits. They come and sit on these trees and they poop. And when those papaya seeds fall out, we got papayas. So you see here, here's a papaya tree right here. There's another papaya tree right there. And there's another papaya tree right there a little further down. But here in front of us, this is a white guava, white Vietnamese guava. These are giant white guavas. They get about the size of softballs, and they're delicious. Here is that Fijian longan that we were talking about earlier. Looks pretty good. I gotta water them pretty much as I can throughout the week, throughout the month, and throughout the year. If I get here every day, I will water them every day, but I don't get out here every day. So this here is another plant that was planted. This plant is known as a K-O-U. This is a Hawaiian native plant. And I used to work at a Hawaiian native plant nursery, and we planted all kinds of plants. And this plant is beautiful. As a matter of fact, there are a couple of them growing over at the old farm, and I've spared them so that they can, you know, I could probably hopefully propagate from seeds when I get some seeds from the trees over there. But that's for another video in the future. So as you can see, I've got these fruit plants. In between these fruit plants is room for more plants, but I want these, the ones I put in the ground, to establish themselves first. And maybe a couple of months from now, if things are looking pretty good, I'll go ahead and plant some more plants in between. But this is a long strip right here. You can see it just goes down that way, and the road is right here, and it comes right this way, swings up all the way back up there. So it's basically a strip to plant on both sides. So you have this side here, which is a smaller side, and I plan to plant, you know, more exotic flowering plants, jungle flowering plants. Got some variegated shell ginger here that I propagated from one plant that came in a 6-inch pot. Eventually transplanted them into 1-gallon pots and then into 2-gallon pots. This here are some birds of paradise planted around a tea leaf plant, cordyline, and I plan to keep it just like that. So these plants are going to go over here on the edge. Some of these trees I'm going to push over when I get the opportunity to, like these skinnier trees here, because they're just, you know, taking up too much sun. And I need these plants to get as much sun as they can, but yet still have some shade. This tree here, this is a gunpowder tree, and I really need this guy gone. First of all, he is just a hazard. I'm just waiting, you know, someday that thing is just going to topple over this way. And I can't have that. So hopefully when the guys come, I'll have them cut it down. As you can see, if I push it down with the machine, this is a really big tree too. If I push it down, it's going to fall on my plants here. So definitely got to wait on the guys to come out, get up there, cut it, and have the branches fall straight down versus a big tree going all the way down and smacking all my plants there. Who knows? Don't know what the future holds. maybe they'll cut it wrong and it'll drop on my plants. But whatever happens, whatever comes, we'll work with it and we'll continue to grow. Nothing's going to stop me from achieving a truly agroforest setup out here and practicing this art till I feel and know that, you know, it's set up the way that it should be set up. And the animals are out here, the plants are growing. I don't plan on getting any sheep or any cattle, any hogs or anything like that. The plants are enough to work with. Those animals are going to be up in the trees or creeping around at night. That's where the animals are going to, you know, take their part. But we got to work with what we can work with what we can work with, and just keep going. That's it for now. This was the growing week. I know I missed a week of posting, but that's because I didn't want to post up another video of just cutting. Soon enough, everybody's going to be tired of watching mowing. So that's what I've been up to this week, growing the plants, bringing them from the old farm, bringing them from home, planting them out here, and hoping that they take off. So we'll let nature do its thing now that we've done ours. We'll continue to maintain and cultivate and keep planting towards the future. Thanks for watching.